The color pink has been associated with ballet for centuries, from the traditional leotard to the tights, the tutu, and the slippers. But for dancers of color whose numbers are on the rise, thanks to inspirational ballerinas like Misty Copeland, pink doesn't quite fit. Apparel companies are finally catching up as ballet slippers change with the feet dancing inside of them. Morgan Radford is back now with our Sunday Spotlight.
As a professional ballerina with the Dance Theater of Harlem, Ingrid Silva is used to mastering difficult routines. But the one she performs most often is done before she even steps on stage.
You have to get every corner of the shoe because everything is seen on stage.
Since the beginning of her career, the Brazilian-born ballerina has painted traditional pink point shoes brown to match her skin because darker options weren't available to dancers of color. The process, known as pancaking, can cost countless hours and hundreds of dollars per year.
Are other people surprised when they learn that you have to color your own shoes?
Yes, it's part of who I am, but it's a process that I wish that if the brands, pushed a little bit on their research, we didn't have to. I could just wake up and put them on and dance, like
everybody else.
Exactly, it would be wonderful.
But now ballet is at a turning point as shoemakers move to meet the needs of dancers like Silva. American manufacturer Gaynor Minden was the first in recent years to debut shoes in shades of brown.
Dancers of color need to feel welcome and supported, so they need to see clothing and shoes that look like they were designed with them in mind.
The new shoes shining a spotlight on the lack of diversity in classical ballet, where dancers of color have been underrepresented for centuries.
There are so many underlying messages that have been sent, I think, to people of color from the time ballet was created.
As American Ballet Theater's first and only African-American female principal dancer, Misty Copeland knows that history all too well.
When you buy point shoes or ballet slippers and the color is called European pink, I think that it says so much to young people that you don't fit in, you don't belong, even if it's not being said.
Now a role model for young dancers of all colors, Copeland says ballet's diversity problem is due in part to a lack of opportunity in minority communities.
When you don't have the means to be a part of it or your community doesn't have access to it, there's not going to be dancers that come in to be able to train.
In traditional companies like the American Ballet Theater, uniformity is key. So the reigning color is still pink, but that's not the case everywhere. Training a new generation of diverse dancers has always been the goal of companies like Dance Theater of Harlem, whose ballerinas have had to dye their shoes brown since the 1970s at the request of legendary founder Arthur Mitchell. Founding company member and current artistic director Virginia Johnson remembers the first time the group performed in brown shoes.
When the curtain went up, you saw a range of people in all different skin tones. It was the most exquisite thing to see.
Nearly 50 years later, its dancers finally have the option to buy brown shoes in the store as ballet leaps into the future.
So these new shoes, what does their existence even signal?
It's kind of like a welcome mat, a tiny thing, but a huge thing for a young person to feel like, yes, I can be part of it, and they're ready for me.
And for Ingrid Silva, that's just the point.
Dance is for everyone, and you can also be part of it.
What a great story, Morgan. As we talk about our mutual love of Misty Copeland, let's get back to the story here. Are all dancers of color using these new shoes now?
They're not, because what we learned was that these point shoes are so personal for a ballet dancer that many of them have brand loyalty, and there's really only 2 brands that are making shoes of color. So if you love a particular brand and they don't yet have brown ballet shoes, then you're out of luck.
All right, well, let's hope that changes, and then there's the question of why it took so long to get to this point.
In the first place.
Morgan, thanks so much.